Can you introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I'm Lex.
What are we doing today?
Today we are shooting actually behind my apartment.
And what are you wearing right now?
I am wearing, it's kind of Taylor Momsen a la wish.com. We have the fishnet, some knockoff chucks. I've got the old plaid, Skims dress.
Looking cute.
Thank
I like
you.
it. I like the fishnet actually. I didn't expect that you were gonna wear that.
Oh yeah.
That's
Always got
nice.
fishnet on deck.
Cool. So for now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up the lights.
What is your favorite cereal?
Favorite cereal? I think Cinnamon Toast Crunch. If I'm
good choice.
being bad. If I'm not being bad, then it's gonna be Honey Bunches of Oats.
Yep.
Yeah, those are good.
I call
Those
my
are good.
dogs that all the time.
But like anything that where I can just throw in like some granola.
There you go.
The granola.
There you go.
Anybody tell you it's gone way too far? No, nothing gonna help you when it falls apart. The prophets and the preachers told you, but you covered your ears, and now the end is near. Gonna tear it all down. 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 Call it revolution.
My train of thought with this shoot, use a 2-light setup because I knew that we would be in a relatively private space. Normally I'd be a little bit more wary of doing a 2-light setup outdoors, especially without an assistant, just because I know lights like to pick up wind and they like to go flying and falling and whatever, and there's a lot more risk that my lights are going to fall when, even if the wind isn't going. Like during the shoot, the light almost fell like 3 times. And it's because the floor wasn't even, things like that. I wasn't using sandbags, and that's because I'm by myself, so already having to carry all this equipment. We're talking 2 lights, 2 soft boxes, 2 light stands, a tripod, my BTS camera with that tripod, the mic, my main camera, all the equipment related to that. So it's just a lot of stuff to have to carry around and lug around. I know that there are some people that like to use wagons, but you know, I was shooting in the city, so I didn't want to draw too much attention to myself. You know, that's always something in the back of my mind. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to go about handling my gear. So there's that. The way I decided to light the shoot was to use one main key light, essentially in front of my subject, and then a second light that is basically like a rim light / background light to light the wall, as well as light maybe a little bit of her hair. That would be a hard light source. That rim light / hair light / background light, I decided to put a CTO gel in front of it to kind of cast that orange golden hour glow to kind of add some color. And the thing about that shoot, we were shooting around 10 a.m. The lighting was going to progressively get worse. The sun was going higher up into the sky. We're going to get basically top-down lighting. Top-down lighting from a hard light source, you're going to get a lot of hard shadows casting over Lex's face. And I actually saw a lot of that while doing the shoot, especially during doing the video. It's great because we're inside of this crevice behind her building, so I was able to move around and hide her from some of the light. However, some of the backgrounds that we wanted to shoot in front of did have that sun as a hard light. Tried to mitigate that with the flash. I made a huge mistake while doing the shoot. I'll get to that. I kept shooting, seeing the results of the shots. It didn't look the way I wanted it to, so I would adjust the settings. I would adjust the shutter speed, I would adjust the ISO. I had my aperture at f8, and then I dialed the lights themselves. I turned down the back and the rim light and turned up my main key light. My main key light was maxed out, max power. But for some reason, the max powered key light was not, it didn't look like it was outputting the kind of light that I wanted it to. So I figured, okay, so it must be my settings. I went back and forth on that. And then I was like, well, maybe my key light isn't even going off. Then I asked Lex, told me that, yeah, it's going off. I can see it. It came to the point where I just decided, well, I guess the sunlight is overpowering my flash. The backlight was a lot brighter than my key light, and I was really confused by that. And I was like, why? But then I knew that my backlight did not have a softbox, so it didn't have something blocking the light. So then I took off the front diffusion off my softbox, and I still had one more piece of diffusion inside, plus the reflection from the outside of the softbox. I figured that would help, but it felt like it didn't do anything. Either way, we did the shoot, we moved locations a couple times, and it wasn't until I got to the end of the shoot with Lex that I was able to see the full power come out of my flash. And, you know, things were working at that point. I didn't know what changed. The lighting was hitting the way that I wanted to at that point. I checked the flash group, I checked the channel that I was on, and none of it made any sense. They were correct. My transmitter was the flash, and I just didn't understand. I had my flash at full power, but somehow it still wasn't the way I wanted it to look. Until I moved to the back, like a hallway type situation, then my key light was flashing at full power. And I was like, why is that happening? But at that point, I'm like, okay, well, I've got good light now. I'm not going to try and troubleshoot it, because if I can get good shots here, then I'm going to go and take them. I have a talent in front of me. I don't want to waste her time just sitting here fumble fucking with all my gear. Until I got home and I looked at my flash more closely, I was able to see that, oh, I had my key light on TTL, not manual. So it was adjusting the power level to the ambient light, and no matter how much I changed the power setting in my transmitter, it was still outputting the same amount of light. It was adjusting itself automatically. So I was looking at the photos, I was like, oh, so basically what happened was it turned itself all the way down. I was shooting mostly natural light, except for the rim light, for about half the shoot. I was livid. I was like, what the, you the longest time, like after the shoot, I was looking at the settings. I was like, maybe it's because I shot at f8. It doesn't make any sense for me to shoot at 2.5 in direct sunlight. So I wanted to bring some of that light down. The ambient light needed to be lower, especially when I have this beautiful background with all these textures. I want as much of that in focus as possible. I'm not going for the super bokeh blurry background look. What I did was I was adjusting my shutter speed, I was adjusting my ISO, you know, I brought my ISO all the way down, and then I was like, it's still not bright enough for some reason. I don't get it, right? I've got this flash, I've got sunlight, how is it still not bright enough? Well, it's because my flash wasn't listening to me. So this will be a lesson to all of you, and make sure that your flash is set to manual, because it doesn't matter how many times you change the settings on your transmitter. If your flash itself is set to TTL, not manual, it's not going to work. These kind of things will happen. I was still able to make the photos aesthetic. After reviewing the photos and editing them, I definitely felt a lot better about it, because it's great when you're shooting with somebody that's as attractive as Lex. Even with hard light, casting shadows all over her face, she looks amazing. So it worked out.
I just want to say that it's okay to make mistakes so long as you learn from them. As much as you can try to prepare to prevent these kind of things from happening, sometimes curveballs happen. Some of them are preventable. Yeah, maybe you can check your settings the night before, get all your gear squared away prior to going out to your shoot. Maybe even take a couple test shots if you have the time. Possibly you can prevent these kind of things from happening, but you don't always have time for that. Maybe you have another shoot the night before and the settings will change. You make the mistake once, then in the future you'll know what to do on set. I'll definitely learn from it. Make sure to check your flash modes. Check all your modes. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for this one. Kind of want to do something, you know, some cool outro, some sort of transition or something like that. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? That is a wrap. We are all set.
I had so much fun.
Oh, I'm glad you did. Me too.
You're really, really good.
Thank you. All right, catch you on the next one. Peace.